All right, we're looking at a 5-minute chart of the S&P 500, and for my candles, I just have, there's nothing fancy here. I just have yellow for my up color and blue is my down color, and nothing real fancy about any of that. And then I just have our prices here on the screen. And what we can see is where we closed over here on the session on Friday. So we closed there. And then we're going to look. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to start with Friday and I'm going to work backwards. And I'm going to show you after all of that, I'm going to tell you why my logic is what it is of what prices are really going to be the most important here. And really what price is going to be paramount that we have to pay probably the closest attention to. So I'm looking for this kind of a move. So this was highly reactive. So I'm looking to come back and test right there. That's number one. So I'm watching this 53 quarter. You can see how we came up here, we kind of held around here, and then there was this big move up. This price, I suspect, will be more reactive, and if we can't hold this for higher, then we'll come back down into here. And I don't like this as much. We traded a lot longer here for about 20 plus minutes, so I don't like that as much, but definitely watching this 45 half area. And then next, looking over here, so now I'm kind of looking back on the chart over here. This kind of same scenario over here, not really crazy about it. I'm probably not going to completely ignore it given what happened right here, right there, but not crazy about it. So far in order for me, this is the most important, the next most important, and then the next most important. But that doesn't mean these are the most important on the chart, so stay with me here. This I'm really paying no attention to. I don't see anything here on what I'm looking at that would have me pay attention to that. This one I'm certainly, definitely paying attention to right here. We traded up to it, broke right through it, never came back here. And then same thing right here. We traded up above, we traded up, tested, traded up, pulled back, and went right through it and really never came back and tested this level. So these are all important. For how high this is, it's pretty important being this, that it really is the first level up here. I mean, we could argue this one, but this is too high. I mean, to think that we're only going to pull back to here and move higher is just, this is just too high. They really need to come back at least down into this area and test. So somewhere down into here to test, and then these get less important as we go down, and then that kind of resets, and this is by far more important than this, given that we test. I mean, look at all the activity that's happened over here, and then over here, and then here, and then all of this, and then we went right through it, and we didn't come back here. Yeah, this is extremely important. Okay, and I just want to make sure. Yep. Okay. So, all right. So there's that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take these prices and we're going to change them based on. We'll just make them all yellow, and we'll make them a bit bigger here. And then there's that one. To make it, again, we're going yellow, and we're just making it a bit wider. And then over here, we got this one. So stay with me. We're gonna take a stroll back in time. Now, if we look at, here we go. Since these are, why don't we just do this? We'll keep it white so that we know the difference here. And we'll just make it solid and, a real solid white color. And then this one, yeah, we're paying attention to it. So we got all those. Okay, great. So there, we got all of these covered that we have highlighted here. Now let's take a stroll back in time and go see. We'll start at the top and we'll just kind of go back here and see how this all played out as we came through these, as we traded at these levels. So first thing I'm seeing right here is they already came back and we got a lot of buying activity off of this level right over here. So this really validates for me what I was seeing over here, where they held around this level and then finally moved up. So if they do come back here, definitely something to watch out for given the reaction we got over here last time they came there. Went right through this level, came back to it over here. Not super highly reactive over here, better over here. So not so great in the past through here in the last little bit, but definitely important right here what we see. This big move, testing, big move through it, came back up, haven't been back down here. Pretty good bet they're going to come back here. Okay, so let's make this, we're going to bring this way down here. This just jumps right out to me down here. How we've tested, tested, and then this big move up through here. So that really jumps right off the chart for me. This is just really important, okay? Again, tested, and then went. And I know we ended up coming back here, but you can see we even tried it there, broke, came back and held here, and then took off. So this is definitely, no, sorry, I think I moved over, right here. Tested, held, went right through it, have never been back there. Okay, let's keep looking through here. None of this really stands out to me other than what I pointed out right here. All this activity over here, I really don't like this. I mean, we traded it right here at this price from 9:30 my time. Wow, almost the whole day from that point on. So I really don't like that. Just don't like all this. This is really the opposite of what all the trading gurus tell you, is that you want to look at, they'd go, oh, look at how good of support this is. Okay. Yeah, probably not. I mean, look how many times it was here and how long it was here. I don't want to trade here. I don't want to trade at any of this. I want to trade here where that happens. I want to trade where this happens. So this is good that they held that as support, but the move really happened from over here. So I want to watch that. Actually, the move happened from probably even further down here, but they've kind of been back to all of that. So, okay. Again, look at this big move through here. Just another, they held up over here, big pullback through there. So really validating all of that. So I'm just kind of going back in time a little bit and I'm looking, look what happened over here. Here's 45.5, they came up, held this area over here. So I'm going back in time. I want to see what, this might not have been the prediction point that day, but that area is definitely something worth paying attention to. Okay, so right here, this is definitely something I want to look at. So let's zoom in on this a little bit. This was actually last Friday. So what happened? Okay, there we go. So big drop off, paused a little bit right here at the level, went through it, tested it right here. So my guess would be the next time they traded up to this level, whenever that happened here, I'll bet there was a pretty sharp reaction of sellers driving the price back down. Let's just go look right there. So there you go. That's the price. So see the big reaction and the big move through it right there. And then see when they came back up and tested, pretty good reaction here. I would imagine that this one actually, this area got a pretty good reaction as well, given the big sell-off that happened from right there. So let's just look and see. Yes, they came up, they kind of poked up here right there, and 53.50 was the level. They probed up to 54.50, 54.25, and sold off back down here to 38. So about 16 points. So why? Because look at how they came right through they came down, they validated this is an important level. They paused right here, bounced, came through, they held all through there. You can zoom back in a bit on that. And you can see they came down, held, came down, validated all of this, and then we lost that area. So when we come back up here, that's going to be an important price that we want to be paying attention to. So I really want to trade at the prices where there was the best reaction, you know, the biggest moves that happened from there. So we could do this for a while. Okay, so you see right here where this came back and it tested this area right here and then this big reaction off of here. I bet if we go back on the chart a ways, what we'll find is we're going to find there was a place where price traded up to here and then sold off and then really broke away to the upside. And this was coming back to test that. That's my guess. So let's pay attention to this. It's that 27 half area. And let's go back and look. Okay, so right here, they came up, they tested, it pulled back. There was a lot of activity here, but then look at right here, once this happens, this isn't fantastic through here, but once that happens, it never looked back. And look how far it moves away. So from 27.5 all the way up to... well, at least up here to 73.25, and then back. So about 45 points. So really good move off of this price. So when they come back here, probably going to get a pretty good reaction from that area. Okay. Now, those are some of the things that I'm looking at. So let's start with number 3. Let's do it like this. Let's say, let's go number 3 of what is, for me, the most important prices here that we have coming into the session on Monday. And here we go. Okay. So, there we go. So coming into the session, let's start number 3. So this is a little tricky. I would say this is my number 3 price right here. And why it's my number 3 price, I could go through and do top 5 and maybe I'll do that, but I'm going to do my top 3 right now. This is number 3. And why it's number 3, the only reason that I'm back and forth of maybe I would say it's number 2 is because it's so close to where the market is. And so that would make it, in a sense, it would make it more relevant. But if we just forget about wherever the market is right now and we just talk about what's of what we have, you know, on the chart, what's most important through here, this is for me number 3. And it's number 3 because this would be number 2 down here, because number 2 right here comes into, I was pointing out where all this activity that was happening over here, and we came right down here, we held right here, all this activity that happened through here, okay? And then we get this big move up away from this is a big explosive move, and we've obviously not been back here. So at some point, if we revisit this 30 to let's say 25 or something like that, somewhere in that area, I would anticipate a big move up or a major breakdown from this area. So this is pivotal. So while this is, yes, it's sort of a minor break, and you know, we've had some really good answers of kind of pointing out different areas, like pointing out this area as being important. I certainly agree with that. I don't like that they spent 20 minutes here already. You know, a lot of trading happened already in this range, so don't love that. So for me, this would be number 3, only because this is so pivotal, because if they don't hold there, I think we've got at least 40 plus points lower that we're going to go. And this would be a kind of probably a major break. I know we've been down in this range between, you know, 3230 to 3190 several times in the last week or two. But at this point, I'm not sure that there's anything left to hold us up at this point if we were to take this out. So bigger picture, this is going to be more important. Okay. 3, 2, and then I would say this would probably be 4. And then, well, of what we're looking at right here. But I actually want to get to what I really want to point out is number one, the most important price that we have as a prediction point for Monday. And to do that, I got to take you way, 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 way back to a time when we traded in the 3300s. All right. I want you to see something here, which is, if I'm going to bring this really small just so you can get a big picture of what happened here. All right, so you're starting to see what happened here. We traded all the way down, and obviously we know this ended up going down over 1,000 points or something from there. So I want to pull this up, and I want to show you looking back in time. I want you to look right here at what happens at, we're going to make this like a red line, and we're going to make it solid, and we're going to make it so you can really see it. And I want you to watch here. Okay. And we're going to go back in time here a bit. All right. So first of all, notice that. So look at this big, massive sell-off, and then they stop right there. And why I'm not picking that price is because they already came back here, and look, this was that price. They came back up and tested. By the way, this is worth noting. Look at this massive sell-off down to here. A big recovery. They come down, they break down to here, and they come back up. They test, and we gap down, and this was it. We never came back up higher than this. So that's it. And we still have not been back up above this since this happened. Big, massive sell-off. Tons of buyers stepped in, drove this thing up, came down here. When we came back up and tested, we probed through it a little bit. Massive sell-off. You know, we sold off from here, we sold off 1,200 plus points. So that's fairly important. But this is the line that I have highlighted red. I'm going to show you why. Let's go back and look here. Told you we had to go way back in time here. All right. So let's actually look at kind of all the activity that's happened around this price right here. We came up, big trading up to this level. Look at the size of these candles moving up here. And big trading. This is actually interesting. This is the overnight. This is Globex. Big trading up into this area. Pauses, holds here for a little bit. Big move up again. We pull back to this area, hold, and then move from here up to, I believe that's all-time highs up there. So after we come back and test, we move up into all-time highs and then start selling off a bit. And here we go. Notice the next time they come back through here, they go right through it, like it's not even there. And come back down to here, this area, and end up moving up higher. And then they do come back and check this area right there. So they come back and check this area, and then look at that candle moving away from this price. So they came back, they tested it, they came right through it over here. And then over here, they came back, they check it, massive buying going on through here. And that ultimately moves us into a new all-time high off of that level. And now let's watch what happens when they come back there again. Let's see what happens. And obviously we put in our all-time high, gap down from there. They come back down right here. Okay, right here. So we know this was important from before, all the activity that happened. We can't even see that, but we saw the activity that happened over here before. And they ended up gapping way down below this, and we saw what happened up here that had this big gap down over to here. And then we're just going to look on the chart, and I just want you to see if they come back up and retest that red line. The answer is no. They actually never come back to it. So now let's go look at today, what this would look like for what today's activity, if we come up here. So obviously we're open into the Globex session. We came up right here. But I want to pull this down and make this quite a bit smaller. So you can see that we've been over here previously. This is the high that we've put in since, well, let's say this, since the low that we put in March, this is the current high right here. So that's going to be an interesting area. And then next, by the way, let's just throw this in here real quick. We'll come back to this in a minute, but just remember we put that on here. This is that price. And so really somewhere right in this range between this, let's say, let's call it 90 to 50 to 95, somewhere in here, this is really make or break for any move higher. And we are anticipating a move higher, and this is really going to be make or break. Now, I don't know that we're going to get a reversal from up here, although I'm not entirely ruling that out. But I am really paying attention to here. We had the gap below here, and we never came back and tested this, okay? So this is going to be just absolutely critical for whatever is next. So my answer is 93.50, I think is the price. 93.50. Nothing more important here that we're looking at for what's next here, okay? And good chance we see that. Maybe we don't see it Monday, but you know, good chance that comes into play here. Okay, so now hopefully that is educational and helpful and shows you a little bit about how I'm looking at things here. Let's look at 84.50. That's the all-time high right there. Well, sorry, that's the high since the bounce from March. And you can see I put the green on the green line there, and we just want to go back and look a bit here. So here's the gap that happened. So there's your big gap. And up above here, this is worth noting, 90.5, really up to, let's say minimum up to here, which would be 06.5, up to where we gap down from, which is 16.5 area. There's not a lot that happened in here. So you have to go back and kind of see a bit about how they treated it before. But probably not a big surprise here that we gapped from here all the way down to here. And then the high of that climb that we ended up getting was about right there. So 84.50. And the high from where, so we gapped and opened right here at 87.50. The high right there is 90.5. And that was it. We'd never been back up into this area. So as soon as we got back up into here, the sellers just slammed it down. And you could make an argument for some other prices in here. Maybe you could make an argument for this. And let's just actually make this, let's just change the color. No, let's not make it white. We already have white. Let's change the color. We'll just make this one turquoise, and we'll make it a bit thicker. And we'll just look at this one real quick and just kind of go back of, is there a lot of activity that happens at this level? Not anything crazy here. They did get a really nice move away from here, so that was nice. So that's kind of the first thing I see that I would look at there. This definitely worth paying attention to. They came back and checked it, got a nice move off of it, checked it, got a nice move off of it, and then eventually that ended up moving down. I think that was it. I don't know if, oh yeah, here we go. Came up. Okay, so you can see right here, came up and tested, sold off, tested, sold off. So you can see there was a lot of nice activity here. Here, this kind of held up above here for a little while, then sold off. Then they moved through it. Then they came back and tested right there, kind of tried out right here. Once they came back up over here, they ended up breaking up above it, holding, and then they broke and they sold off. That was a real nice sell-off. So I could get behind either one of these as really critical, but if we can't get above here, there's no way we're going to here. But if we do get above here, it's a pretty decent chance if we can, actually break out. That would mean you can't just probe up there and get slammed back down. But if we can actually break out right here, let's see right here what that looks like when they actually traded in this area. So above here, here's the thing. There's a lot going on up here that we haven't been back to. So this area, 3,300. So even getting up above here, probably just back to 3,300. And even up above there is probably only back to like, let's say 0.275 to 0.8 quarter or something like that. Somewhere in that range. So somewhere between here would just be back to there. And, we'd have to, so likely we're going to see at least some decent pullback from somewhere up in this range. Okay, so this is longer than I intended for it to be, but that's to give you an idea of why, to me, this is going to be so critical moving forward, that we, how this is played out. Of that, we came up here. Where are we? Before that, there we go. So all this over here. And then finally getting this big, ultimately we rallied from all-time highs from that, to all-time highs from that price. And then we see this big gap down, and we just kind of skipped through all of this. So this is all gonna need to come back up here and get tested at some point. And the sellers are gonna be watching this very strong between this area, this 93 up to say 0.5 minimum, and then above that, somewhere up into this area. So the sellers are going to be watching this. If you don't see it here, be watching for it up into here, and we'll see how that all plays out. Anyway, there you go, and we'll see you on Monday.